BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
What's going on, Tiger fans? It's Mo Knowles here with another episode of Tiger Talk TV. We're going to talk a little baseball today with my co-host, Fred the Ace. What's going on, Fred?
What's going on, my brother Mo? Doing great. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Ready to talk a little baseball. What about you?
Oh, man, it's that time of the year.
It's that time of the year, man.
JSU sports, I'm definitely always excited about year in and year out. So definitely looking forward to the season, with Coach Johnson on the sideline. So excited, with a lot of the new faces, but also some of the returning faces. So
awesome. Let's talk about last season. How did you feel about that end to the season? I think we were 37-20, and I want to say we ended at the SWAC championship game, SWAC tournament with Grambling. How did you feel about that season?
Heartbreaking loss to Grambling for sure. But I over the last several seasons, I've been able to see the team up close and personal as they've kicked off the season in Houston at Minute Maid Park in the Cactus Jack Classic, right? So that's an event. You have games 3 days on the opening weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Usually it's Valentine's Day weekend. So I've had the opportunity to witness the team. So to see them from game 1 to game 56, right, and see that progression, see the team continue to mature, continue to thrive, right? The coaches push the right button, enhancing the lineup, getting the lineup right from the pitching staff to, the batting order, right? Because you're trying to figure out, what lineups works, as you get into SWAC season. So I thought the team was able to find something early in the season, but then you get to the SWAC championship, and I wouldn't say it was a surprising run to the SWAC championship, but to be able to beat Bethune-Cookman twice, a team that we've struggled with since they've joined the SWAC, right? We went into the SWAC tournament as the 4 seed, playing the 1 seed Texas Southern from the West, but I felt confident that we could compete with the team from the West, right?
Correct.
So us making a run to the SWAC championship versus Grambling wasn't a surprise to me because of how competitive the East is with Jackson State, Alabama State, FAMU, and Bethune-Cookman.
At what point during the season did you feel like this team had the potential to make a run in the tournament?
Man, I would say definitely, SWAC play. When we went down to Alabama, went down to Montgomery, played Alabama State, right? We took the first 2 games from them. Because that's been a team that we've had, thorn in our side, right? And then you get into kind of towards the end of the season, right, where you're facing Bethune-Cookman, you get a win there, you close out with 2 wins versus Alabama A&M, right before we head into the SWAC tournament. So I thought the team was handling adversity well, right? Took some tough losses from some very tough opponents that they faced in the SWAC with those teams that I mentioned. So I think the SWAC play was just a grind on the east side for
Especially coming out the
so
East, beating up on each
yes,
other.
beating up on each other. So it was a grind, and to get to the SWAC championship and face some new blood. We seen Texas Southern in the Cactus Jack Classic early in the season, but then we got to see them again, right, in the SWAC
Right.
tournament, first game. But I thought we was better prepared to face them than what they like to do. They like to be aggressive on the base path.
They play
Texas
very
Southern,
similar to us.
a lot of hit and run, right? They want to put a lot of pressure on the defense, right? Very similar styles, right? Speed, right? Line drive, hitting for line drive, hitting for contact, right? And
Moving
make the
runners.
defense make mistakes. So, but no, it was great to see that progression that the team made from beginning to end.
Right. We had a recent publication come out with Perfect Game. Perfect Game did a breakdown. I got to
Yes.
go there. They did
Yeah.
a breakdown. They did their preseason all SWAC. It's headlined by two of our returning starters, Jordan McClatty, is center
Yes.
fielder. I believe he played in right field last year. He's going to play center field this year. Shortstop Robert Tate. Those guys are coming back. But one name wasn't on that list that really stood out to me. And I think
Yes.
it stands out to anybody that's close to the program, anybody that's even in SWAC baseball. But Joseph Eichelberger, a man that hit 375 on last season,
Yes.
was not named preseason all SWAC by Perfect Game, one of the most credible baseball publications in the nation. What are your thoughts on that?
My initial thoughts was I had to go back through the list and I had to see, okay, who actually made the all SWAC team from Perfect Game, right? Where they're a DH that I felt was better than, Eichelberger last season. How many JSU players were on the list, right? And just thinking about those things, it really doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter how many JSU players was on the team. I thought he got snubbed because I thought he was one of the most feared hitters in the SWAC. He competed and he hit in conference and out of conference.
Home run versus Mississippi State.
I saw him hit. I saw him hit a bomb versus Mississippi State, dead center.
94 miles per hour.
Down in Starkville at Duty Noble Field. So, and it was a 90-some mile per hour fastball. They threw middle end on him. Right. Mid-90s fastball, middle end. And he took it dead center. Right. It was a shot.
A pitch that a lot of players in the SWAC can't turn on.
And I saw him here, make some big hits in the Cactus Jack Classic, up close. He finished third on the team with 4 home runs, right? So he has a lot of offensive firepower.
And let's be honest, after game 15, he wasn't seeing fastballs.
Yeah, so teams started
People stopped throwing fastballs to him.
Teams started to see, okay, we're gonna come at you with a lot of off speed. We want to see, we want to slow that bat down. We know what you can do with a fastball. Let's see you hit these breaking balls, right? These off-speed pitches. And I think that's an adjustment that, I'm excited to see his progression, his maturation for the season, right? He finished with just under 400. And, that's
a feat within itself.
That's a feat. And, not trying to critique anybody that batting right under 400, right? Because typically 300 is the goal, right?
That's where you want to sit, 300.
You got millionaires in Major League Baseball batting below 300. So
hitting 262. I think Juan Soto hit like 262.
So Eichelberg is very competitive at the plate, right? So I'm excited to see, what he's done in the offseason, right? Because we know he's going to face a lot more off-speed pitches, but all in all, felt like he got snubbed by Perfect Game, by the Perfect Game, publication. Not sure if the SWAC is doing
Preseason all SWAC. It hasn't
preseason
come
all
out yet.
SWAC team or anything has come out yet regarding that. But I'm excited to see where he will land, on the all SWAC preseason from the conference sports information directors, right? From the conference SIDs that's voting on these, preseason players, right? And I expect to see a lot of JSU names in that. So that's a tough pill to swallow to say one of the most feared hitters in the SWAC and Joseph Eichelberger was
So let
not
me ask you this.
Perfect Game preseason all SWAC.
If you coach Johnson, what are you telling Eichelberger to encourage him?
Should be motivation. It should be motivation to Eichelberger, to get snubbed from, like you said, one of the most recognized publications, Perfect Game, that does a lot of research when it comes to baseball, right? A lot of great baseball people that's over that publication that's producing these SWAC lists, right? Or producing these conference all SWAC lists. Teams. So
someone asked, a question was asked, was it politics? Was it that the other guys were possibly Perfect Game guys?
Yeah.
That answer is, I don't think it was. I think it was a mistake. It had to have been some type of error.
It's
because Joseph Eichelberger is a Perfect Game guy. He was rated as a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yes, and it's possible that they know he was returning, right?
Maybe they thought he went pro.
Yeah, so but that's something that possibly whether someone like him that should be motivation. Let's go out here and hit 400, right?
Make it where they can't overlook you.
Yeah,
that's preseason. We worried about postseason.
Absolutely. So, the snub wasn't, I'm sure it doesn't feel good to be snubbed by, someone like Perfect Game.
Right.
When you talk about that. So, but I know that's something, if he's aware of it, it's going to motivate him.
And let's not overlook the guys that did get picked. Jordan McClatty is possibly one of the best overall players in the whole SWAC.
Yeah.
Kid absolutely raked last year. I believe he hit 344. He was hitting at the top of the lineup.
Yes,
speed guy.
My pick for preseason SWAC player of the year is going to be Jordan McClatty.
He's a good one.
A guy that makes a lot of contact with the baseball, right?
Probably the strongest defender.
My opinion, our best all-around player, right?
Right.
Coach Johnson has, he started the season last year batting lead off, right? But also that's a guy you can throw in the middle of the lineup at the 3-hole.
He can hit anywhere.
5, a guy that's gonna make contact with the baseball.
Right.
Right. Very competitive DNA. And that says a lot about him, right?
Tate, what you think about shortstop Robert Tate?
Man,
6'4", 175 out of Chicago, sophomore.
Robert, to see him grow, right, came in last year as a true freshman, right, and to see him start 43 out of 56 games. He hit 352. Right, as a true freshman, hit 352.
Man, put you on the spot.
Absolutely.
Is he the best shortstop we've had in the last 10 years?
Man, I can't put him there yet. I want to see more at the plate.
I would say he's the best
more consistency.
True freshman that we've had in a while. He's a baller. Did you see what he did in the All-Star game last year?
Yeah, he's a baller. 6'3", 6'4", rangy.
Goes in the hole and gets it.
Prototypical shortstop size, right? But I think for me, I want to see him continue to progress at the plate, right? And that's going to be the question, if is he going to be a leadoff guy for Coach Johnson? right? We know he can get the bunt down, right? Very coachable kid, but that's a guy that's one of the guys you saw got better as the season went on, right? He got better. I felt like he could have just kept playing if our season continued. Like he was just getting better. Every game I saw him and watched him play, he just
And when
got
you
better.
watch them play, he's not just a shortstop, but he's a captain. Like he's talking every play. He's calling it
that's
out.
what you want. That's what you want in the middle of the
He's a leader.
You want a guy
at a young age.
You want a guy in that middle when you think about some of the great shortstops in baseball from history. Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez before he left in Seattle and went to the Yankees, right? And they moved him to third, right? And Derek Jeter was at short. So a lot of your great shortstops are usually they're big and they're rangy. All right.
Right.
When you look at even if you look at some of the shortstops in today's game, right? You get a Gold Glove and Dansby Swanson. You got a all-world and Corey Seager, who's about 6'3", right? Big kid.
Who would you compare Robert Tate to?
Man, he's still growing. Got to feel into his body, right?
Right.
6'3", 6'4", he's still growing. And do he stay at shortstop? Right? And that's one question also.
He reminds me of the kid that we had years ago, Glenn Walker, another tall shortstop.
Out of California.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He reminds me of that kid. I mean, one of the greats. But let's break down this roster. I'm sure you looked over it. There's a new roster out on the Jackson State website. Let's start out at first base. We got Wilbert Perez, 6'6", 250, JUCO transfer.
And
we have Nizer Bergen, 6'4", 215. They're battling out for first base.
That's a key. That's a key position with what we lost in Lenny Montesano, who played a lot of first base.
Hit a lot of home runs for us.
We lost his bat. He led the team with 11 home runs last year. We lost his bat, right? So, but also that's a position I thought we definitely could have used defensively an upgrade there.
Right.
And that's a position, I think we're still trying to feel, quote unquote, when since Shannar Brown had left us. Right, transferred out. So that's a key we thought was going to be the first baseman of the future, right? But he transferred out. So we're still trying to, fill that hole that we had. Lenny did a great job at the plate for us, right? So that was a sight to see. It wasn't too shabby defensively.
And Lenny was traditionally a third baseman.
Yes, and always. And I think first, help get his bat in the lineup.
Right.
You always wanted to make sure that position is stable when you got a great glove over there.
Right. And I'll say this. I know that it's not on the roster, but I can't help but to add in that freshman, Asafa Jones, that came off of the injury. If his bat is what the scouts say it is,
highly talented.
I gotta put him in the mix at first base. I gotta find him something. If I can't put him at DH, then I gotta find him somewhere. And I think that first base might be a spot for him, but we'll see what coach decides to do.
Yeah, that's one position I'm excited to just see. And I mean, I know we have a lot of returnees in the lineup that I'm looking forward to us talking about, but also we have some question marks, right?
And first base is a question
that you
mark.
Want to upgrade, positions that felt like that need to be filled. And speaking of one, third base. All right, where do we go from there? Who's
Let's
going to
talk
man
about
at
it.
third base, right?
At third base, we got Tyshawn Petty battling it out. We got Shamar Harris. Shamar Harris was a third baseman in the SWAC championship game.
Yes, the starting third. Yes.
Letty Alvarez.
Yes.
He's penciling in a lot of different positions, and that's one of his spots.
Yeah, and see, in that position, man, that's been a position that's kind of been a revolving door over the last several years.
Right.
And I don't think, just thinking, I'm not sure that position has been solidified since Melvin Rodriguez.
Correct.
On no back-to-back SWAC championship teams, right? 2013, 2014. So, yeah.
I really like Tyshawn Petty, and Johnson likes to put a lot of former shortstops at third.
Yeah. So you like Tyshawn Petty?
Tyshawn Petty. I could go with Tyshawn or Letty. And I think Shamar is serviceable.
Yeah, and I've been seeing some highlights of Patty in the cage,
right.
Batting practice. Looking good. He's looking like he's ready to be an everyday third baseman.
Correct. And he was a true freshman last year.
Yeah.
So he had to go through some growing pains.
We played a lot of freshmen, right? We played a lot of young people, right? That's why you saw the team get better. They got better as the season went on. That's why you saw them in the SWAC championship game versus an very experienced Grambling team. Right. So a team that we beat multiple times during the season, right?
Correct.
Beat them here in extra innings in Houston in the Cactus Jack Classic, beginning of the season, right? A very highly competitive game to be the second, third game of the season.
That was a real life legendary classic.
Yeah, very emotional game where the benches were going back and forth. You had benches clearing, right? And that's kind of why that SWAC championship was so intense, right? Because you have to understand the backstory from the beginning of the season, and how intense it was and when they played, right? And then we ruled them
correct
in the middle of the season. All right. So yeah.
Let's talk about second base. There's that name again, Letty Alvarez. We got a true freshman, Anthony Brown from out of Florida, battling out with Letty. Two completely different style of players there.
Yeah,
Letty, a former shortstop. He plays the game the right way. Has a lot of flair about him. Has a nice stick. It's a stick that you can put at that fifth spot behind some power, or you can play him early in the lineup around two. Put him in front of Joseph Eichelberg or put him behind McClatty. But that true freshman, Anthony Brown, he's a speed guy. He's somebody that's completely different.
And I want to see what he can do with speed, right? See how he's able to control the plate, how he's able to manage his bat, right? Because I think speed is something that's been missing,
right,
in our lineup.
And that's the way Jonathan likes to play. He likes speed.
We're up in the top in stolen bases, right? We run a lot, and we didn't have a whole lot of speed. Probably had more power and contact on the team last year than we did speed, right? So I'm excited to see some speed into the lineup, right? Because if you got guys that can get on base in front of McClatty, if he's not leading off, in front of Eichelberger, right? Them guys can do damage and be RBI kings.
Right. You got to have somebody in front of them. You got to have somebody to protect them. You want Eichelberger to see fastballs. In order for him to see fastballs, you got to put some fear in the person that's behind him. You don't want people just walking Eichelberger. But to me, in my opinion, this next position is probably the most important position defensively on this roster, and that's catcher.
Catcher, man.
We got Hedrick Torres, he's going to be a sophomore, and Pierre Cabral and Devontae Wells. Three very, very inexperienced names. All three.
Yeah. And
Torres was a true freshman last year.
We're replacing our starting catcher.
Correct. It's going to be a very important spot.
Going to be a new catcher on the season. I mean, that's probably the most important position because they're controlling kind of the game, controlling the flow of the game, right? They understand the scouting reports of the batters, the teams we're facing as they.
That's the coach on the field.
Control the pitching staff, right?
Correct.
That's what the catcher do. You think about
and stop the run game.
Yeah, and we got to control the run game because you got the SWAC. We're gonna deal with a lot of speed teams want to run. They're gonna try. They're gonna test you. We want to see, can you control the run game? Right? Can you steal us some outs? Teams trying to go on us, but we got.
And I think that's a different dynamic that we have out of these catchers. Torres is more of a defensive guy. He's special back there. Smooth, has a strong arm, but you want his bat to kind of match.
His bat is limited. He's limited.
You want his bat to kind of catch up to his offense. I mean, to his defense. But Pierre Cabral is a guy that was in JUCO last year that hit 344.
So you know he got a bat.
He got a strong bat, but I've never seen him catch.
Okay.
So if he has any type of glove, he might be the guy.
Yeah, and it's kind of what you train off, right? I watch a lot of Major League Baseball. So I take it back to your Astros teams, right? When they had Martin Maldonado was their catcher.
Right.
And he's had times when he's batting under 200, but he was so special behind the plate.
They
right?
have to put him
controlling the pitching game, with controlling the run game, right? They had to play him.
Right.
They had to, because he was that important. He's gonna bat 9 in the lineup, not going to get you many hits, if any, but was an everyday catcher. Right?
And people don't know how a catcher can steal strikes.
Absolutely.
The way they frame it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, especially dealing with SWAC refs.
Yeah.
If you don't frame it right, it's a ball.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of the game, man.
But if you frame it right, it's a strike.
And you get in and just continue to talk baseball. If you watch baseball, watch the Braves and Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy, catcher for the Braves, one of the best at framing pitches, right? Making a pitch that's a ball, make it look like a strike. That's right on the edge. He's making it look like a strike.
Right.
And he's consistent with it. That's somebody you want to watch and see how they kind of translate that skill to stealing strikes for their pitchers.
It makes a huge difference. That makes a difference in a 2-1 count and a 1-2 count.
So let me ask you this.
That makes a difference in being in a fastball type situation or off speed. So
let me ask you this.
It makes a difference.
What would you prefer? Would you prefer a guy that's batting 340 coming out of JUCO, or would you take a guy that he may not be great at the plate, may be a 225 hitter, 250 hitter, right? But he's great defensively, tremendous defensively, can control the run game to perfection, has great rapport with the pitchers, right? Understand his pitchers, what their strengths are, right? Understands the deficiencies of the batters based on the scouting report of who we playing. Somebody like that.
That's easy for me to answer.
Or you want a guy that's, he probably can get you double-digit bombs, He can be a bat that's, that can protect some of your top hitters, right? At the top of the lineup. He can be a guy that's fifth, sixth hole hitter.
You know
What
what
do
my
you
answer is
prefer?
to
What do
that?
you do as a coach? Yeah, I guess it depends on your philosophy, right?
I'm putting the defensive catcher, he going behind that plate. But if that kid with the bat, if he's that special, he going to DH. I'm putting him at DH. If his bat is that special, then I got to throw him at DH.
So what do you do with some of our other guys that are strictly like DHs and like an
Cream rise to the
Eichelberger,
top, Fred.
like an Eichelberger or Davion Hull, who we haven't talked about yet? What would you do in that situation? And I'll tell you what I would do because of where kind of baseball is now. I'm going with the offensive guy. You have to be able to put runs on the board.
Right.
You have to. We had if the catcher, if he just average back there, I can deal with that.
Right.
But if he got a plus bat, I want that in the lineup. Okay, you're gonna be our everyday catcher. And we'll give you some days off. Give you some days off midweek.
Give him midweek off.
Maybe,
And that's something that you can also add in is the fact that if you got two catchers, you don't have to have them to catch every game. Because there's 3 games
right?
on the weekend.
Oh,
and you might have 2 during the week.
And sometimes it can depend on who the pitcher's comfortable with.
Right.
The pitcher may be comfortable with one catcher over the other. You see that a lot throughout baseball, right? And you can alternate from when he's not playing, he can DH.
And let's be honest, sometimes it's a language barrier.
True. So now that's one of the positions I got my eye on. I want to see. I really have my eye on because over the last few years we've had a catcher back there. He's been great defensively. Hasn't been able to control the run game too much. Contact hitter at the plate, right?
Right.
So not a whole lot of plus categories. But now, with where baseball is, we have to be able to put points. We have to be able to score runs. Have to. Those days of just shutting teams down.
It's over.
For 9
Everybody's
innings,
hitting 95 miles per hour fastball.
It's hard. And we'll get to the pitchers. We'll get to the pitchers later. I know that's on the agenda to talk about the pitchers, but
well, let me tell you about the position I got my eye on. I got my eye on the outfield.
Okay.
Because we talked about Jordan McClatty. I think he's the only automatic player that's got that role. We know he's the center fielder. But who are you putting next to him? That's the question. And you got Joseph Eichelberger, you got Davion Hall, you have Darwin Gregg, and you got that guy, Salfa Jones, coming off that injury, was the number 2 high school player out of Canada, out of the country of Canada.
Yeah.
Not the state, but out of the country of Canada. And you got Silas Moore. What are your thoughts? Who are you putting next to McClatty?
That's tough. I want some speed out there. I want us to get back to having speed. When you talk about, a Chandler Dillard that we've had, right? Guys that can go, you think it's dropping for a double, right? Stand-up double. Guys, we're going to get it.
We're going to get it back. We're able to move runners and everything else. Be a threat on the base pass and also be able to run the ball down.
Yeah, guys that can run.
Right. And that's traditional Johnson baseball.
That's traditional. Speed in the outfield. Right. So, like you said, Jordan McClatty, the only surefire, probably starter that you can pencil in.
Right.
So I'll tell you this: in 2 weeks here in Houston,
We're
I
gonna
see
find out a
Coach
lot.
Johnson trot out there, right? Gonna find out a lot. Because
Right.
we have game 1. It's a SWAC championship rematch versus Grambling.
Versus Grambling.
So
We're
right
gonna
out the
find out
gate.
real early.
Right out the gate. You know who you playing.
Two teams biting at the bit to get back at each other.
Fighting at it, right? Gonna be a competitive intense. There's just some kind of, I don't want to say animosity, but it's a rivalry there.
You know what it reminds me of? Those old baseball games we used to have with Southern.
Yeah, and we end the season versus Southern.
It reminds me of that old rivalry.
Another SWAC power. We
It
end the
reminds
season
me
with
of Coach
them.
Kadar versus Brady.
Now we're gonna get Johnson versus Crenshaw.
Right. And we got Coach Pierre over in Grambling.
Johnson versus Pierre, right? And they yap a lot. They talk a lot, right? Grambling, they talk a lot, man. So looking forward to it, right?
So let me put that out there. Tiger fans, get your tickets. If you're in that Houston area, come watch some baseball.
The Cactus Jack Classic
Valentine's Day weekend, come out and watch them. Let's get to what we've been waiting on. The pitchers. You're a former pitcher. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the returners first. Man. Eric Gonzalez.
I'll say this. Before we can get to the returners, right? Just, we know what we have returning, but for me, it's what do you do as starters, right? Because that's the question mark, in my opinion, for us. We lost a lot. Christian Womble, right?
He was a dog.
Isaiah Williams. Gary Vandervelde.
You lose 3 starters. That's weekend starters. That's your weekend starting rotation.
That's your 3 starters. Your Friday, Saturday, Sunday starter, right? What do you do? What do you do at the front? And I know, I'm not sure we got, but the strength of the team is the bullpen, because that's what we have returning. Long relief, bullpen. What do you do? Do you push some of those guys up there where they were midweek starters for us and give us 4-5 innings? Talking about returning pitchers that I'm excited about, that I want to see, that I like, right? Giandra Lewis.
He had a hell of a game versus Mississippi State.
Had a great, had a really good season. Stepped up in some big moments. He pitched in some midweek games for us. I'm excited to see.
He's a lefty.
Where do we go with him, right? He's a guy that's, mid to upper 80s, right?
But he throws strikes.
Yeah, throws strikes. He throws strikes. So,
and he goes after people.
Is he going to be a weekend guy? Right?
I would say yes.
Has he stepped up to make that progression? Right? And CJ Lewis, another guy that was very reliable. Strike thrower.
Nasty.
3/4 arm slot, righty, upper 80s.
Transfer from Toledo.
Right. So I saw him come in early in the season last year. Shut down some teams.
Close some games out.
So excited to see him. Right? Do you go long relief? Him 8th and 9th inning? Right? Or he just
I think that we need to get at least 2 innings out of him.
Okay.
I think you got to get at least 2, whether it's the 7th to the 8th and you let Gonzalez close it, or whether it's the 8th and the 9th. Right. You got to get multiple innings out of that sure arm. Kind of similar to the way we did Womble last year.
Yeah, and speaking of Eric Gonzalez, is that the guy at the front of your rotation now?
I think my question is more so, is he healthy? Because that's why we didn't see him, earlier last season.
That's been the age-old question.
When he's healthy,
over the last few years,
he's one of the top arms on your roster.
Absolutely.
When he's healthy. But he has to be healthy.
And he has a competitive fire on that mound that you want to see out there, right? He's competitive, right, on that mound. So
he's a guy that can run it up to 96. He's a guy that has a
I'm
12-6
interested to
curveball.
see if he's gonna take that step and give us an entire season, right? Show us that. I mean, we see the skill, we see the talent. Go out there and become SWAC pitcher of the year, right? Show
He
us.
got snubbed.
You got it in you.
He's a guy that in 2023, he was preseason all SWAC.
Yes.
2025, they don't even mention his
injuries
name.
have hindered him, right? Have hindered his production, right? So, yeah, that's
a guy that was on our team last year was a little bit of mystery to me.
And I say regarding pitching, the rotation, right? The starting rotation, that's the question mark. Going into the season, that's probably the biggest question mark of all the positions is starting pitching.
Well, let's talk about some of these newcomers. First name that just jumps off when you do your research, when you just do a simple Google, Nkosi Ditter, a kid from out of Aruba, kid that we recruited from the Curacao national team. Kid was the MVP of the Caribbean Series, winning pitcher versus Cuba. And let me put this because context matters. He was pitching against professionals.
Absolutely, yes.
These are guys that are professionals. That team that Cuba had are professional baseball players, and this guy that's coming into our program pitched 5 innings, 7 strikeouts versus a national team.
And just speaking of the competitiveness, the competition that he's facing, Curacao is one of the top baseball producing islands, countries that we have, right along that Caribbean.
They're up there with Dominican Republic,
Venezuela, Cuba, Puerto Rico, right? Curacao has that kind of talent. That's what they're producing over there. You go into Major League Baseball and you talk about Ozzie Albies for the Braves, Jurickson Profar, who's with the Braves now. Legendary Atlanta Braves player Andrew Jones.
The shortstop we had a few years ago.
Yeah.
In Atlanta.
Yes, the shortstop. So then you talk about Kenley Jensen, who we had, who was the closer for the Dodgers, then the Red Sox more recently. So a lot of elite talent comes out of Curacao. So to see us get somebody like this, it brings a lot of excitement.
And let's be honest, Coach Johnson don't miss when he goes to the Caribbean. He don't miss. I can't help but to think about Desmond Russell.
Yeah, our last SWAC championship and what Desmond did to us, right? If that guy bring that kind of competitive fire, that kind of talent, that kind of skill, I can see us holding up that trophy.
And let me talk about some of his velocity. There's a kid that just 2 years ago, he was throwing 91 in a game. And that was 2 years ago. He's since gained about 15 pounds.
Yeah.
So with weight comes strength, a little bit more muscle mass to be able to hold that low 90s fastball for a duration of a game. And I think that makes a huge difference. I think he's a steal. I would like to say he's possibly the newcomer of the year in the SWAC. I think he's a kid that you might see him in the first game in Houston. That might be a kid he runs out there versus Houston, versus Grambling in Houston.
Okay. So what about Carson Foster?
Hey, let's talk about true freshman
out of
Tupelo,
out of Northeast Mississippi, area of the state that's rich in baseball talent, right? And we've gone down Northeast Mississippi quite a bit over the years and got a lot of talent out of it.
They've been good to us.
Yeah, you think about Ty Hill out of Saltillo, right up the road from Tupelo.
Right.
They're all SWAC player of the year, right?
And I think the thing about Carson is his makeup. He's a 6'2". He's 215 right now as a true freshman. He
That's
throws low 90s.
a
He
guy you
comes
expect
after
to
you.
see play
He comes
early.
after you.
Yeah, a guy we
But where do
expect
you
to see
put
play
him?
early.
Where do you pitch him?
I think you're probably gonna continue to build up. He could be that starter. He could
And you
be a
got to keep
starter.
in mind, he's a lefty.
Yeah, yes. So he could be a starter, a freshman starter coming in for us. But we gonna play some games. We gonna see Johnson, and that's one thing about Johnson. Johnson's not afraid to play guys to see what they have. He's gonna play you.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I think any Tiger fan that looks at this roster, there's a kid that really stands out. Cameron McCoy. What are your thoughts about the quarterback playing baseball?
I'm excited to see. Jackson State has a history with that.
Trey Rutland.
Well, so you think about Trey Rutland, guy that transferred to Jackson State from Mississippi State, starting quarterback, went out, played baseball, hadn't played baseball since high school in 4 or 5 years, led the SWAC in home runs.
I'm be honest with you, Fred. After seeing that, I'm thinking to myself, why didn't this kid just play baseball?
Yes. So Cameron McCoy coming in, he's topped out at 96, right? He's topped out at 96 on the gun.
At 96,
so
that's
that's a plus fastball, right? I'm interested to see he's the backup quarterback, but I'm interested in looking forward to seeing what he does on the mound, what he can do for the baseball team. Like, this just might be his sport.
I'm be honest with you.
Make some noise, be very impactful, right?
Just being honest.
And
as of right now, if I'm in a jam early in the game and I got to go to my bullpen and I just need an out, I don't need you to do I don't need you to do nothing else. I just need an out. I may throw him out there in a jam.
Yeah.
96 in the SWAC.
And 96 in the SWAC. Let's go get me an out. I need this guy out. Right?
I don't want you to do nothing else. Just get me out.
Righty on righty, situational. Righty on righty. I need him out.
I think it's a kid you can throw out there for an inning. I don't think you throw him more than one inning, though. Not with him having he didn't have a real offseason.
Don't continue to build him up.
Build him up. Maybe 30 games in more than an inning in. See what he can do. See if he can consistently throw strikes.
Definitely.
Let's talk about the rest of the guys. You got Caleb Gallant, Eric Elliott, Shamar Harris, Miles Thomas, Satchel Green, DJ Hardrick, Corey Richardson, Tyshawn Petty. That's 14 pitchers on this roster. What's the importance of having 14 arms?
It's a long season. You want to try and manage arm fatigue, right? You got guys that we just talked about with Cameron McCoy that just may be great for situational, right? Lefty on lefty, right? Or this guy is struggling to hit off speed, curveball. Let's bring in our best curveball pitcher because we need this out, right?
Guys like DJ Hardrick that throw a 12-6 curveball, but he might not can throw a fastball back.
Yeah, so we need this out, or we plan a team similar to 2014 when we upset Louisiana Lafayette, right? We threw a lefty.
I don't think he was throwing 75.
Vincent Anthony, lefty, a lot of off speed, right? A lot of off speed versus Louisiana Lafayette, who's a fastball hitting team, a team that had one loss on the season when we played them.
Right.
It was like 50-something and one, right? A team that could absolutely rate 1 through 9.
And they struggled.
And I don't even think 1 through 9, 1 through 30. That's how lethal they were. And Coach Johnson went in with, okay, we know you like fastball. We're not going to throw dead.
I'm not going to show you it.
We're not going to throw Desmond, who's sitting at 91, 92. You right, 6, 7 innings. We're
I'm
not
not
going
gonna
to
give
throw
you what you
a
want.
heater. We're going to give you that, and then we're going to follow that up with somebody else, with Alex Jude to close it out for us, right? Who's low 80s, fastball,
A lot of
lot
jump.
of off-speed, curveball, changeup, right? We're going to keep you off balance because we know what you want to do,
Okay.
right? So that's what you think about when you have so many pitchers, right? Because you have injuries. There's a lot of different situations. So you want to be able to get through a 60-game season. And that's essentially what we play, 60 games. You want to have enough arms when you have a SWAC tournament, right? When you have these tournaments where you're possibly playing 5 games in 3 days.
Right.
Right? So that's very important, and you can never have enough pitchers. And some of these guys are two-way guys. Some of these guys, Tashawn Patty,
He
Shamar
can go out
Harris,
there
these are
and get you
guys
out.
that,
Shamar Harris can go out there and get you out.
yeah, these
Believe it
are
or
guys
not,
that can
Joseph
play in the
Eichelberger is a former
infield.
pitcher.
Of course.
He can
Yeah.
go get you out. But
Yes,
let's go to the barbershop a little bit.
Absolutely. Let's take it there.
Who's your starting? What's your bad lineup? With this current roster as is, with what we know and what we don't know, who's your 1 through 9? And I can throw mine out there and we can critique mine.
I'm leading off with Tate. I'm going Tate 1.
Speed.
I'm going McClatty 2. I go Davion Hole 3. Go
Experience bat. Hits for average.
Go Eichelberger 4. Right now, I go Letty Alvarez 5. And now we got 6, 7, 8, and 9, right? That comes down to who's the first baseman.
Who's the DH?
Who's the DH? You know, Eichelberger is going to be the DH. I'm
and who's the
putting
third
Hole
base?
in left field.
Yep.
Who's going to be the right fielder?
Got a lot of questions.
Who's going to be the second baseman, right?
Right.
So I can't give you all 9, but I'll give you that first 5 that I just named.
Gotcha.
And I have a clear picture for us when I see the team firsthand here in Houston, Texas, in the Cactus Jack Classic. So I'll definitely be there supporting the team, right? So anybody in the Houston area that's watching this, that's listening to this,
please come out and
support those Jackson State Tigers. We're playing Grambling Friday, Alabama A&M Saturday, and Texas Southern Sunday.
Correct.
So I think the game Friday and Saturday
starts at 11
a.m. and then the Sunday game is at 3. So we ask all Tigers in Mississippi, if you're traveling here, throughout the state of Texas, anybody close by, come out and support. I'm sure the team would definitely love it, would definitely appreciate it. We're talking about a model of consistency under Coach Johnson.
He's going to get you 35 wins a season.
You're talking about a guy that out of 17 seasons, he's won 13 of those, he's won 30 or more, right? 2 SWAC championships. Just a model of consistency, over 500 victories at Jackson State. Has beaten the number 1 team in the country. Has beaten our in-state Power 5 schools in Mississippi State, right? So definitely want to get the support and make sure you get those season tickets. I'm a season ticket holder.
Please go get those tickets.
I'm a baseball season ticket holder. The minute they went on sale, I bought baseball season tickets. Always. Never miss a year without buying season tickets, right? And I typically try and make 1 series a year. So at
Let's
home, at
get it.
least one series at home. But I do travel to a lot of games on the road.
And we'll both be in Houston together. So,
Yes, sir.
with that being said, go Tigers. And it all helps the cause.
It all helps the cause, huh? But he say, D I love.
I love. Thank you, Corey.
AD has approved KC 1400 Collective. Everybody want to hear me say that? This is what it's all about. They're around. They are supporting. The money is going directly to our student athletes. They're signing deals. They have contracts. Let's do it. I mean, without this collective, we won't be successful. We won't be able to sustain our student athletes. I mean, 1400 Collective have done a really, really good job of keeping a lot of our athletes here. You know, if you saw them sign a lot of our athletes, but we got to do our part. So I know after the day, we're going to click that 1400 Collective. We're going to give one of those tiers, and we're going to make sure that we give to this collective so we continue to give to our student athletes and support them and give them what I need. And I want to thank you all, Ken, TD, D-Core, C,
T-Dub.
Yeah, T-Dub, everyone that created and helped create it. I know I'm missing some names, putting this together.
Tiger Talk TV is presented by Bet Online.